What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the WebBuzz podcast, the podcast for the small business owner trying to figure out all the cool things going on the web and how to take their business to another level online. I'm Sean Tiberio, and I'm joined by my sidekick, my co-host, my partner, sometimes my partner in crime. We'll leave it at that. We won't go any deeper there. But Roger Valdez. Roger, how's it going? How's your morning so far?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good, man. This is another episode, another good one. Actually, we're wrapping up some things on this episode, so I'm super excited. And my morning started out pretty good. I got some good coffee going here, so I'm excited, ready to go.
Yeah, we were literally just on another meeting with a new client. And I happened to see you take a sip of your coffee cup. And I don't know why, but the sight of a coffee cup going up, even though it's after 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in LA, I was like, man, coffee sounds really good right now. And I went and made myself a cup really quick before we went on air, just to have one along with you. So kind of feels like morning for me, even though it's not. But hey, had to join in a little bit. So I know we got a really good show coming up today, a really good episode. If you guys have not been tuning in, we're going to give you a quick recap, but by all means, go back, catch some of the past recordings. We'll let you know where you can get those at here in a second. But before we dive in, I want to have a little bit of fun. And Roger and I got to celebrate something yesterday that, I'm going to be honest, when we got off of the meeting, we'll call it a meeting for right now, so I don't give it away. But when we got off of it last night, and it was 11:30, quarter to 12, almost midnight my time, went in the bedroom and I was getting ready to go to bed, and I looked at Deanna and I was like, smack me, pinch me, do something, because I can't believe what just happened in just a 12-month window. Because I feel like it was this time last year leading into Christmas. You and I had a vision, a thought, an idea. Really had no idea what the heck that looked like. It was just in our minds, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We're going to leave it at that because that's what it was at the time.
And all of a sudden, we were like, screw it, let's do it, which is kind of my mentality and my motto. Anyway, and to see where it landed after just 12 months. And if you guys are wondering what the heck we're talking about, we basically celebrated our first, it's not a full year yet. January 1 is the full year, but it was our first kind of Christmas time as a company with all of our team members. And I've got a picture here. There's a little funny story, but this was the team last night on our virtual Christmas party because, well, one, it's COVID, and two, there's three different countries being showcased right now in this this photo. But the funny thing is I said, hey, let's do it as a fun picture. Everybody make a funny face. And I guess the three amigos, I call us, because Itzel's kind of always with you and I on a lot of stuff. The three amigos, we were having fun. The rest of the team was going, what the heck are we doing here? We're the only ones making some fun face. So
Oh, man.
but it was cool to see everybody on there last night. Cool to get to know some of them even more. It was fun to hear some of the fun facts that I've never heard about some of the different team members on there. And it was cool to see just, what TRC's become, what you and I have kind of created. And a lot of people out there had no idea that they think it's just you and I sometimes. They have no idea what the power we have behind us and what they are and who they are that make us look so good all the time. So anything you want to chime in and add on that before we kind of shift gears here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a blast. It was like you said, I'm gonna pretty much follow your coattails on that one. It was a good time. It was a little bit of a moment for myself as well as we went through that meeting, that holiday party, right? Yeah. That we have virtual holiday party that a lot of companies out there are currently having, because you can't have an actual physical party. So it was really cool to go through that, get to know our team a little better, and make sure that they knew each other too. I think it's very important when we're a virtual team that we keep that that connection. I think that was very, very important.
Absolutely. So with that, we came down off the high. We're right back to work, doing it right. diving deep into some stuff, and we've got a kick-ass episode for you guys. Today we're rounding out really the whole series on what you need before you invest thousands of dollars into a website. And I've kind of been saying the last couple of weeks, it's all the stuff the gurus won't tell you because they just want you to buy their out of the box cookie cutter, whatever. They don't want to tell you these things. Well, Roger and I are bringing it to you on the WebBuzz podcast. So if you haven't been tuning in, we've spent some time the first week talking about some of the foundation, really figuring out who's the avatar, who is our ideal client. And if you missed that episode, go back, check out episode number 2 of the podcast. You can find it in a couple places. Easiest place, head over to topresultsconsulting.com and look for episode number 2. We gave away a free worksheet during that episode that'll really help you guys out. You can grab that at topresultsconsulting.com/avatar, or it's also linked up over on the podcast episode on the Top Results Consulting site. From there, we went into Roger's favorite topic, keyword research. So why don't you kind of recap that real quick, Roger, for everybody, some of the stuff that we did in the episode. That would have been episode number 3.
Absolutely. So one of those things, if you guys, once again, if you missed that, just go over to our website, topresultsconsulting.com, look for the WebBuzz section, and we have all the episodes there for you guys with all the show notes and everything you need. But for the keyword research section, we covered some important pieces, very, very simple, free. So you can go and do the Google auto suggest method, where you can find a ton of valuable keywords for your content. And then we also introduced a tool there, what's my SERP, which is a Chrome extension that you can add to your Chrome bar, and you can find some cool keywords from there. And then Answer the Public was a very powerful tool that we introduced, where you can get some content ideas. But once again, if you missed that, definitely go over to the website, get your information, and get going with your keyword research.
100%. And then we took that topic or took the conversation, I should say, and put all of that together, right? Who the avatar is, all the keywords around it, and we got into probably Roger's second favorite topic, or it's probably a high competitor in the top of the list, and that was all around your actual structure, the actual format and flow of your web presence. And really, it's what makes Top Results so dominant, because it's all about talking to the computer, the robot, Google in this case. That's why Roger loves the structure aspect of it. But how do we do it in a humanized element, which is my side of it? So kind of break down real quick a little bit on that silo piece that we did in episode number 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got into what I like to call the silo structure, or your website architecture. If you really want to get real technical, right? It's your entire website architecture, how everything is built from the ground up, and how everything interlinks, all the information. And at the end of the day, why do we do this much work to kind of interlink and connect all these pages, and even link to outside websites, or have outside websites linked to us? Is basically to give the user a good experience when they come there, be able to give the user a lot of value while they're on your website. So that's the whole reason people find you, come to you, and stay on your website, because you're giving them value. So the website architecture was huge. And we also, if you go, once again, we're kind of recapping. So there is a resource that you can get if you don't know what the silo structure is. Watch that episode, and there's a resource that we have at topresultsconsulting.com/silo. And we literally gave you a sheet there where you can just fill it out and follow our technique to get your silo set up for your website.
Absolutely. And again, if you've missed any of this, you're just tuning in, whatever the case, you're not really sure which episode you didn't catch, just go to topresultsconsulting.com. Click on the little WebBuzz section. There's a beautiful section about 3/4 of the way down the page, or half of the way down the page on the homepage there, that'll land you right into it. All the episodes are right there. You can continually tune into them. But before we go into today's topic, we had something cool just happened. We've been kind of paying attention. We've been working really heavy with a particular client of ours over the last couple months. And over the last week or so, we've really seen a lot of the dividends paying back now, right? A lot of effort, a lot of energy's gone into it. dividends are paying back. And I'll be honest, folks, I was completely shocked when Roger dropped basically dropped the gold bar on me in a meeting about this client on how quickly, just following literally everything that we went over between episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and even getting into today's stuff here in a 2-month window, what's happened to this client. So why don't you give a quick backstory on it, Roger, and then we'll share the screen. We're going to do a live Google search right now so that folks out there that are watching this can see where they're actually ranking at and what all of this means and why they need to stay tuned the rest of this episode here.
Absolutely. So in this particular case study, it's a good one because we started from scratch. So this full disclosure, this client was a current client of ours, but it wasn't a client that was doing the advanced, right? The advanced SEO is more, they had the website, everything was good. And their website was doing okay. It was doing good. They're in a very competitive market. They're in a Charlotte, North Carolina market, which is very competitive for their niche, which is real estate investing. So what they wanted is to be able to get some more organic leads. So when we looked at the whole structure of what was happening, obviously we built everything. It was all set up like what we followed. We follow our methodology here with our website architecture. Everything was there. What we needed to do is some of the more advanced items, more keyword, more very kind of focused, a little more focused on certain keywords that now we have data to work off of. And we did that. And we kind of built all that stuff out. And now after running a couple of these tests and putting some of these techniques into play, we're going into month 3. So in reality, everything that we're going to show you is everything that we've done in month 2, what the results that we're getting from just the past 2 months. And that's basically kind of where we're at. It's like, what is the value? Why do you do this? Well, you're about to see it, because I always say the top 3 positions on a search result is where most of the clicks go, right? If you're anything underneath there, you got to work yourself up, because it starts dropping dramatically. So we're trying to kind of get our clients to get to those top golden 3 positions on a search result. So from there, I'll go ahead and let Sean take us through that search and kind of see what this search result looks like and where you should be looking for your results to be.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen there, and this is just one of the keywords, right? There's many keywords. Again, what we broke down in a past episode there, episode number 3, a lot of keywords that this client's going after, but this one in particular happens to be a pretty kind of common one for their niche, for their industry. This We Buy Houses in Charlotte, North Carolina. They do business in Charlotte. They buy houses. Very strong kind of keyword. So I went ahead and typed that in. We Buy Houses in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're going to go ahead and let it go. Now, obviously, Roger, we could talk on a future episode maybe a little bit more about the results that come in. I think a lot of people understand ads at the top, you're paying to be up there. So we just kind of ignore those. Same thing with the map pack area here. A little different strategy, a little different play on it. But here we go. We're now into the actual organic. And real quick, before we kind of point out where our client is, why don't you talk a little bit about the kind of the data breakdown of why you want to be in that golden 3, the top 3 spots?
Absolutely. So just kind of the breakdown there, when someone gets to these results, page 1, many people don't go beyond page 1. Truth be told, many people don't even realize there's page 2, 3, and 4, right? So if you're on page 2, 3, and 4, you're not getting any action. And then beyond the top 3 results, that's where the clicks start getting dramatically reduced. Because when you think of yourself, when you do a search, what are you going to click on? You usually just click on the first result, right? And then if you don't find what you get, this is where the value, where we talk about the content strategy, keyword research, and everything like that. Why it's so important to add value is because if this particular person, if I was a visitor and I put in this keyword and I go to the first result, that's what I'm going to click on. I'm going to read that. If they didn't give me enough value, I'm going to retract my search and I'm going to go to result number 2, and I'll keep going till I find my value. So that's why it's very, very important for you guys to have a good structured website with good valuable content. Okay, so that's it. So the 3 results that we're talking about, I mean, you're getting roughly, and this is talking general stats, about 65% of this entire search right there gets given to that first result. Then you start dropping into like a 50, 40, and then it dramatically drops to like 10, 5, 1% on anything lower. These are general stats. Once again, don't quote me on those. These are stuff that I picked up throughout multiple research that we've done. So we always want to try to get to those top 3 places.
Now, before we point out which one's our client, where they're at on here and all of that, where was this client at when they started this strong push 2 months ago, right? Again, folks, they were past clients. They just weren't doing a lot. 2 months ago, going almost 3 months ago now, we're starting that 3rd month. They came to us and said, okay, we're ready to put the focus more on the SEO side and really dial deep now and kind of double down in a sense. Where were they at that point?
Absolutely. So they were sitting on page 6. Now, is that because they have a bad website? This is a very important point. You might have a very well-structured website with decent to good content. The point here is just because you have a good website doesn't mean you're going to rank on page 1 or even on the top golden positions, right? Position 1, 2, or 3. It depends on what your competition is doing in your market. So if you have a good website, but everybody else in your market for these keywords has a good website, then it starts coming down to metadata, right? It's like how many words, how much value are you providing on that? How many keywords are you working into the content? How many images are you adding to the content? How many videos, or, is there a video? Video seems to be very hard for some people to add, but yet it gives a lot of value to it. The other thing is how many people outside on the internet, right? How many websites out in the internet are referencing this particular your website, right? Your pages, to use them as reference points because you have a lot of value on your posts. So that's basically some of the points that you can kind of take away on this particular client. Was on page 6. All we started doing is adding value to this particular Charlotte page, and we started seeing the needle move.
And we're going to get deeper into that here on today's episode, a little bit more around the actual stack, the design, the development, the growth around it, and really some of the more intricate pieces. But what really shocked us was, again, page 6, 2 months of getting this game plan in place. They came to us, said, do it. Just go at it. We don't want to deal with it anymore. Sean, Roger, team, take it on. And here we are going into month number 3. And for this keyword, they are sitting in right here, the number 2 spot. Mav Property Group out of North Carolina. Page 6 to number 2 in 2 months for this particular keyword. And we could do this. We could probably fill an entire episode of just looking for different keywords that they're going after. And we're going to find that they're in 2, 1, 4, 3. Again, they were 6 and deeper on most of these just a couple months ago. So huge shout out, huge kudos to Roger, the team, everybody in the efforts that we've put in on this particular client. Again, we've got a ton of these type of stories. It's just this one happened to pop up. Roger and I were looking at it and it was like, let's show it today because it fits perfect to where we're at. Anything else, Bud, before we kind of kick this into high gear?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a good opportunity to point out when there is a lot of stigma around SEO, that it takes a long time, that it doesn't work, right? And a lot of those things. So this is a good example of something that I can actually use as a case study and show that it does work, because we were very honest with our clients to tell them, hey, even if we get you to page 1, you probably still won't see conversions. It's not till we get to position 1, 2, or 3 where we'll start seeing some action in regards to conversions. So look at your stuff, because you might have a website. You're like, Roger, Sean, I have a good website. I'm on page 1, and look at that. Are you in the golden positions? Because that's where all the clicks are happening. So that's where you have to put a little more effort. And that doesn't mean, once again, that you have a bad website or anything like that. It just means that your competition is doing more. That means you have to do more to outwork them.
100%. So with that, let's kind of dive into rounding out this whole series. Again, if you missed any of the past episodes, just head over to topresultsconsulting.com. Check out the WebBuzz section. You'll be able to watch all the different episodes, listen to all of them. They're on all the podcast players out there. You pick. You can get the information how you want to consume it. So take it away from here, Roger. What are we going to dive into today? How are we wrapping this thing up and finish us strong on this big old series so I could save some money?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is ultimately, we're wrapping it up. So this is the 7-step framework to an ultimate online presence. So we want to make sure that we hit all 7 steps and that you have everything in place correctly. So just a quick rundown so we can get to the final ones right there. Step 1 was getting your avatar. Step 2 was doing your keyword research. Step 3, content strategy. Step 4, your silos. Now we're getting into step 5, 6, and 7. We're going to cover all 3 of them right now. So step 5 is your web development. Now you've gone through those first 4 steps and you have all this data, right? You have the keyword research, you have your content strategy, you've gone through all that legwork. So now you're ready to build. If you notice, we've done a lot of work and we haven't even talked about setting up a website. Today, it's time to set up a website. So if you're doing it yourself or you're hiring somebody to do it, there's a couple things I want you to think about before you spend thousands of dollars and not knowing what they're doing for you, or maybe you invest in yourself, right? And you don't know where to start, right? So I'm going to give you a couple tips and tricks here that you can utilize to make sure that you do the right things in this stage. So for web development, the ideal stack. Now, when I talk ideal stack, I want you guys to know that this is our ideal stack. It can look different for other agencies. It can look different for you. So I just want you to make sure that you understand that. So I'm going to give you what we use, and then you can take it from there. So what we like to build on in regards to our content management system or our platform that we build on is called WordPress. Okay, so WordPress is a free software that you can use to build your websites. Now, when I say free, that's only for the builder, right? So the next thing that you have to think about is hosting. So hosting is basically where your website lives, right? The platform where it's going to live. So it's basically a server that then serves that up to the internet. That way, many people can find it throughout the world, or wherever you're at. So your hosting becomes very important. Sean and I have this conversation with clients all the time when we talk about hosting, because you can go to something like GoDaddy and get very, very cheap hosting, but people don't realize that, like anything else, you get what you pay for, right? So cheap hosting can be detrimental to your SEO, to your website, to your user experience, because when you're getting $2-3 hosting, that means you're sharing a piece of the server, not even an entire server, maybe a piece of the server with hundreds, if not thousands of other users, meaning it slows down your website. You cannot get that speed up. So the user experience for your users, your visitors, becomes not a good experience, right? The next thing is, when you're on a shared type hosting platform, it can become the security starts dropping. Because if one of those people on that server does something wrong, something shady, right, it affects everybody on there. I know some of these server companies do their best to protect against it, but right now it happens, and that's where you got to watch out for. So what we like to do, and what Sean and I have decided for our clients, and what we've done is basically build or partner. We partner with the server company, and we have our own set of servers that are dedicated to our clients. Now that's us. That's kind of giving you the stack on what we use. We kind of went out that far to protect our clients and make sure that we have full management. For you, if you're doing it on your own, I would suggest when you go to whether it's GoDaddy, any platform, Bluehost, whatever, don't go after their cheapest hosting. That is the wrong approach. You have to look at something that, if you're going to build on our stack and you're going to use WordPress, they have specialized WordPress hosting. Number one, ask, is it shared hosting? How many people do you put on am I sharing this with? What do you do for security? Then listen to what they have to say. A lot of them have a very, very well structured program that it will work for you. So those are the couple things that I'll leave you with. Just make sure that you're not buying the cheapest just because it's cheap. Make sure you ask the questions and make sure that you're on a secure platform. Okay.
I mean, that even goes if they're even going out and looking at other companies, I would say. Not just you're going to do this on your own. You're looking at another agency. That question right there, gold bar of what to ask. Is this shared hosting? How do you host? How many other people am I getting kind of thrown into the wrangler with? Because that could open up some complications down the line. And sometimes it's completely out of your control, and that goes for even some of the bigger ones. I know we've had some clients in the past, ClickFunnels type thing, different Wix type thing. There's a horror story out there. Wix completely, every site on Wix platform one day just shut down because their stuff crashed on something wrong. So major gold bar right there, folks. To take that one question, and it could really open up your eyes to which direction you ultimately go.
Absolutely, absolutely, Sean. And just to name off a couple, so we talked about the hosting, we talked about the actual stat. We recommend WordPress, but I'll name off a couple other CMSs content management systems that you might be familiar with, just so we don't leave anything out, just so you know there's other options, right? So other options would be, Sean just mentioned, Wix, Squarespace, Joomla would be just examples of other platforms to build websites. Now, a question I do want to take advantage here to answer would be why WordPress? Why even, why did you choose that? Why is it so good? Because you're able, it's very flexible. It's part of a large community worldwide, so it's always evolving and getting better. And it's one of it's the leading CMS that's used worldwide. So that means you can get a lot of help. At the end of the day, it goes back to support, how much help, how much you can find out about it, how many videos on YouTube you can learn about it. So there's a ton of stuff. And that's why I usually recommend WordPress for people to do that, including ourselves. That's why we use it. So jumping into other questions that you might have, might want to have when you're getting ready to build this website would be, how much access do I have to my website? So you're going to build my website. How much access am I going to have to this website? Are you going to do the edits? Am I going to do the edits? Are you going to charge me and how much, right? So it's very important to know after the fact. Okay, you're going to build me a website, but we've run into so many clients that get really excited. They're going to pay X amount, and it's usually a lot, right? We get into the thousands of dollars. They're done, and the company never disclosed that every time they want an edit, it's going to be another set of hundreds of dollars to make that one edit. We actually just got off the phone with someone that's dealing with that, and we're helping them out on some things in regards to that. But make sure, do you have access to it, right? And how much access? Because there is different levels, admin access or just a user. So make sure that you are aware. And then the final thing, I think I already covered it, but I want to cover it again, is support. Overall, I think hands down, that's probably the most important question you should have, because when you're dealing with the digital asset, which is your website, your online presence, things are always good. They're going to go wrong. It's not if, it's when. So it's important to have a team behind you or a support channel. A lot of these platforms have only chat. Horrible idea if you only have chat, because then you have to wait. If you have a business that's rolling and is making, decent money online or whatever, a service that needs action now within, say, the 24-hour period, and you're dealing with a chat bot, you're in trouble because you don't know when that's going to get fixed, right? So I always kind of push, if you are going to go on your own, make sure that all the pieces, your stack, right, your development stack has support. That way, if something goes wrong, you know where to go. So I'll stop right there, Sean, see if anything kind of popped up in your head that we can get into as of right there.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the support end of it. At the end of the day, if you're trying to bootstrap this and get this thing going, and you're doing it on your own at the start, the last thing you want to be up against is trying to figure out, how do I make this edit? How do I get this fixed? Or heaven forbid, there actually be a problem. And you're trying to work your way through this, and you don't have any assistance on the back end. So huge piece. I think that one, and the way that it's actually, hosted up, and the server, and is it shared? Am I independent? All those kind of pieces. Those are probably the two biggest complaints that Roger and I hear almost daily from the business owners that we talk to. And I know even people that aren't even our clients, people that I just end up in discussions and conversations with, it eventually comes out that that's what I hate about my platform, or that's what I hate about who's hosting my stuff, or, it drives me batty and all this kind of stuff. So again, ask these kind of things up front, put the plan in place up front. I'm not saying it has to be us. Even if you go somewhere else, make sure that you're going to get the support and make sure that you're going to get the hosting that you need. So that's about all I got on that.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're going to move on. There's more. There's always more, right? So we kind of nailed some of those questions. So hopefully you guys took some notes, got some good ideas. Maybe you're already kind of rolling with something. Hopefully this helped out. But what I want to get into next is now get into kind of what's the ROI, right? What's my return on investment for going through all this work and getting a well-structured website and asking the questions and everything. Why am I doing this? What's the value of having an online asset, right? A website, an online presence, a well-structured presence that we're trying to get to those golden spots. Why? Well, it puts you in front of the ideal client. So just going to drop it. It literally, a well-structured website puts you in front of your ideal client.
100%. And if they listened to what we talked about in the earlier episodes, you already know who that client is, and you get in front of that one, not just a ideal, but there was a keyword in there. So
absolutely. Absolutely. So that one right there, we're going to leave it there. We love kind of putting it there because that's what the website's going to do. And if you get into those top golden positions, you'll start seeing the conversion. So now, don't stop. We see a lot of companies get to page 1 and they give up because they're not giving conversions, even though they're on page 1. Keep in mind, we talked about the golden spots, 1, 2, and 3. They might be in position 5, 6, 7. Keep going, guys. You're almost there if you're at that spot. If you're not, then work towards. That's your goal now. Now you know what your goal is, where the conversions are at. So the next thing that I want to get into is now you went through all this stuff. You asked the right questions. You got a website and you're thinking, all right, I'm done. You're not. This is you're not done, guys. Even though the web development portion is finished, your keyword research at some point is finished, your content, you're live with your website. Sean and I like to push a methodology called growth-driven design methodology. So this methodology, basically what it is that you should never stop building. You should never stop evolving your online presence. The traditional web development process is a 2-year process, basically a 2-year evolution of a website. And Sean can add to this. I'll kind of point out, but I know Sean has a great way to put it. But usually you build a website, you say it's done, it sits for 2 years, it does nothing for you. Do a redesign because you think that was the problem. You wait another 2 years and you keep going over this process, but it never does anything. And then you end up with that really salty feeling that online presence doesn't work. It just wasn't done correctly. So I'll pass it on to Sean. I love the way he kind of puts it and explains this.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. It's like you just hired an employee to come sit and answer a phone that you forgot to plug in. And then you get pissed off that the employee is wasting you money because you're paying for that person and they're just not answering the phone. And why are they sitting here all day not answering the phone? And 3 years go by and you're like, oh, shit, forgot to plug in the phone. Hence why that person wasn't answering it. And I know it sounds funny, but in reality, this is what we see over and over and over again from a lot of small to medium-sized businesses. Large business, corporate, this is normal for them to constantly be making updates and overhauls and adding and really kind of advanced stuff, because a lot of them have the built-in team, right? They've got a built-in web development team and a web, kind of a technical stack, so to say, of employees. That's small to medium size. This is a pain point. They don't want to deal with it, partially because they don't know what to deal with. That's why we broke this down in these 4 episodes here. But the other side of it is it's just a pain. It's a headache. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. They're not getting any results. So they just say, screw it. And really it's because that phone's just not plugged in, right? They didn't really dial it up the right way. So growth driven is all about that methodology. You're not done. The website is never done. You are never completed. I laugh when we actually hear business owners say, yeah, I just got done developing my website. Great, start over, because it's already out of date if that's the mentality you're kind of running with. So little fun way to think about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to take an opportunity there. If a lot of you just, that was a little bit of an eye opener. and you want to learn more about growth-driven design, what we're talking about with this methodology, Sean just popped up a link there, topresultsconsulting.com/masterclass. You can also go just to our website. There's a number of areas where we have a call to action button that says the masterclass there. We have a absolutely free resource there where you guys can go through a short course that Sean has done a great job creating, so you guys can learn more about that and how you can implement it into your business. With that, growth-driven design, I mean, we cannot push it enough. Don't think it's done. Keep building, keep adding value, so you can continue kind of moving yourself up those rankings. Okay, so now we're going to kind of move away from basically web development. We talked a lot about the web development and everything. Websites live. We talked about growth-driven design. You have to keep going to add that value and keep moving up the rankings. So how are you going to do that? So we're going to get into what I call step 6 is now you have that. It's out there. Now what? This is basically where the traditional kind of web development stops. And a lot of people get stuck here. They do nothing, and they expect that if you build it, they will come. Well, that's
just going to say step 6. That's it, man. I built it, and now they'll come, right? I have a website. They'll just start showing up. You're telling me that's not true?
Oh, man, it's not Hollywood. Trust me, it's not Hollywood. You got to put some elbow grease, some work into this. So the next part that we're going to be discussing is promotion. You need to promote your assets, right? You need to promote your brand. So this is a portion I'm gonna pass over to my buddy Sean here. We're gonna get into. There's a number of things. We don't want to go down a rabbit hole and just because there's hundreds of ways. So we're just gonna give you some ideas, a starting point, because this is mainly for entrepreneurs that are getting started or have something they're kind of stuck. So we're gonna give you a handful of things, some action items that you can potentially take now, so you can start promoting that brand. So Sean, go ahead, take it away on that portion.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the promotion side, I mean, obviously we probably are going to do some episodes in the future breaking these down even in more nitty-gritty detail, but let's just go simple right out of the gate. Many small businesses, you're on social platforms, and a great way to start promoting your brands, promoting some of your stuff, and it's probably an overlooked area right now in the social kind of space, is what's known as optimizing your personal profile. And when I say optimizing your personal profile, what I'm talking about is really making who you are online your business, really showcasing who it is. And that gives you the ability now to promote or put in your website domain. It gives you a opportunity. Maybe it's in that cover photo. Maybe it's somewhere just listed in some, some level of your description, clearly explaining in that description who you are as a business and as the business owner of that business and what that business does and where they can go to get more information. Because truth be told, there are stalkers stalking your profile. If you're at all active online on social platforms, in groups, doing anything, at some point, somebody's not sure who you are. They're clicking over to your personal profile. They're trying to figure out, who is this Roger Valdez that just made this comment that actually resonates with me or that I completely disagree with? And before I go off on him, I want to know who he is. Don't kid yourself that there isn't people stalking to that level to think. And I know this because I do it. I do it every day, and people do it to me all the time. I can't tell you how many times people make a comment and I'm like, they read something on my profile. They just recently looked at a post that I put up and said that on it. So that is like step 1, super, super simple to promote it. And again, I don't care if it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever it's at, and really across all of those platforms. Roger can probably share here why that also helps from an SEO push. But that's a super simple way to start promoting without really needing to do a lot. Just put it out there and people will start to recognize it. And it's kind of that good old fashioned, they see it enough times, it starts to resonate, or it creates the curiosity. Hey, I see Roger and what he's saying and what he's doing. I followed him for a little bit and I've read his profile. You know what? Let me go check out his website. And boom, now we've got him coming in. That's one easy way. Maybe talk real quick on why the social side. What does that do from an SEO push?
Yeah, absolutely. So in SEO, it's called a social signal. So basically, what you're doing when you're mentioning your brand out there, it's called a social signal. It means somebody is mentioning your brand. That pings the Google algorithm as well. Not only the Google algorithm, but also that particular social media platform algorithm to say, hey, this is a brand. The more they hear about your brand, the more it gets in front of the index. Basically, it goes higher based on what you're about. That's why it's very important not only to prime your social media platforms or profiles to talk about your expertise and where you are. Add your links to your websites, guys. I don't know how many times I've seen it where a lot of people they prime them, but they don't link. Uh, Google is a robot. It needs to find a path. If you don't give it a path to the correct assets and you don't connect your assets together, then it loses. It becomes what we mentioned on our last episode. We mentioned something called like orphan pages. Well, it can be an orphan asset as well. That's just floating out there. You mentioned it, but you didn't connect. You didn't give the bots a path to connect to the other assets. Because at the end of the day, what you're creating an ecosystem around your brand, right? So your website sits in the middle, and all these other assets, social media and everything else around it, needs to connect back to the main asset so you can amplify your brand online. Okay. So one thing I want to get into now, we kind of mentioned the social signals. Another easy way to really promote your brand is to go out there and look for local directories about, where you can create a profile about your business. Just to name a few, the yellowpages.com, angieslist.com. If you're a service-based or a trades-based type company, allows you to create a free profile. The BBB, right? The Better Business Bureau is another strong profile. Google My Business, probably the strongest of all because it's a Google asset. So I'm going to leave it there. Now you guys have an idea of a couple ways to amplify your brand online. And then one thing that I do want to explain here, Sean, since we did touch on the social signal aspect, there are two types of basically we call them citations as well, but they're mentions, right? Any type of directory or mention of your website, right? There's a structured and a non-structured way to do this, and it's okay. Either one is good. So structured is anytime you go to a platform like the Better Business Bureau, you fill out a form with all your business information. They allow you to put a link to your website. That's awesome. You need that. But an unstructured citation, basically a mention of your brand, is like on social media. When I had a good experience with your business, and on my personal profile, I go and do a comment and say, I use this business. They helped me sell my house, and this, you should definitely use them. They don't have to link back to your website, but to mention your brand name. That's awesome. So that's another way to really do that and amplify both your structured and unstructured mentions or citations online.
Absolutely. The other thing that I would mention that's super simple, highly overlooked, is everything about your communication should come back to the website. Roger and I was actually speaking at an event in Phoenix just a couple weeks ago. Roger was on that. It was a virtual event that I was speaking at on this topic of growth-driven design and really making the website your number one sales and marketing asset. Everything that I kind of talk about in the masterclass. And again, you guys can head over there, topresultsconsulting.com/masterclass to check that out. But one thing I kept reiterating and saying over and over and over again is drive everything through your website. Every bit of communication that you have with somebody. Somebody wants to book an appointment to talk with you. Somebody wants to get on your calendar to meet with you. Somebody wants you to come out and take a look at their project or their home. Or if you're a more of a service base where they got a scheduled time, like a good friend of mine, is a doctor, all that stuff. Everything should be pushing, drive them to the website. Tell them, go here to do this, go here to do this. If you notice, like 20 times in this episode itself, we've said you want to catch up past episodes, go to Top Results Consulting, go to the WebBuzz section, you'll catch it, right? Go to topresultsconsulting.com/this/that. Why? It's landing you on pages and different elements and assets of our website to get you into the ecosystem. If you get into the ecosystem, you're probably going to start to see some other things that intrigue you or that are better, maybe a good suit for you. This really goes on your blog side. Can't say that one enough. The blogs are the ammunition the piece. We talked a little bit about that last week, right? In that kind of bottom phase of the silo, the fuel to the fire, so to say. Those blogs, share those blogs out, put them on your social platforms, and link to them, link to a really good one that you got. Maybe it's the main kind of blog topic and you've got some supporting ones around it, but you want to get them to the one first, and then they'll eventually work their way through. Link to that in some of your stuff, in some of your email communication. Just simply say, hey, by the way, if you didn't check that out already, I've got this over here that you can go check out. So another simple way. Obviously, there's a ton of ways, and we'll probably do an episode where we break down, the 6, 7, 10, whatever, kind of highly overlooked / highly effective ways to promote your brand. But I'm just talking super simple, out of the gate, things that you guys can take action immediately on. Just put it out there, and think of every time that you've missed an opportunity to say, oh, by the way, you can actually get that on my website. And if you're noticing, I don't actually have anything on my website, that's the growth driven design side. That's why you start kind of vamping up, right? And revamping and adding to and going, that is a resource that I consistently have to give out or talk about, or somebody's always asking for this. Why don't I build something into my website that they can access it, get their hands on it? Maybe it's gated, maybe it's not gated. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can get into on the strategy around that. But how do you promote it? Leverage it. It should be your go-to tool for your business.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it any better than that, man. So we talked about that's the ecosystem of the whole online presence. Your website's in the middle. Everything should be connecting to it. That way it amplifies that message. So that was step 6, guys. Let's get into the final step of the 7-step framework to an ultimate online presence, right? We're going to wrap this up. What do you have to do in step 7? Pretty much repeat the process.
I got to go back to the beginning?
So all that work was for maybe a set of keywords, one page, right? If you're looking to kind of rank in a certain position, like we showed an example towards the beginning of this show with Maverick Property Group. They really want to take advantage of the Charlotte market, right? Keep in mind, that's not their only market they're in. But what we did, we focused the first couple months around making sure they take advantage of a set of keywords for that. We went through this entire 7-step process, and boom, they're ranking number 2. By next month or the month after that, we'll be dominating position 1 and owning those conversions. That's when it gets fun.
100%. So, again, it's been fun on these episodes, guys. If you haven't caught all 4, I'm just going to keep reiterating it. If you have not caught all 4, go over to topresultsconsulting.com. Check out the WebBuzz section. You will find episodes 2, 3, 4, and now, what is this, 5, or is next week 5? I forget.
Next week's 5.
Next week's 5. Yeah. So episodes 2, 3, 4 all fit into this series on it and round out the entire process. Episode 1 was a fun episode. That's why it throws me off, because we didn't start with episode 1 on there. But go check those out. Get them. You can catch the video version over on YouTube, on the Top Results Consulting YouTube channel. You can watch it there on the site. You can listen to the audio portion everywhere. But more importantly, if you guys are getting value out of these, drop us a little message, give us a little thumbs up, a rate, a review, all that stuff. I'm not too worried about the ratings and the reviews. I know why Roger and I are dropping the gold bars on this show. It's to help those that actually want the help. So we're not chasing ratings. We're not chasing reviews. We're not chasing rankings with any of it. If one person out of all of this makes something happen for themselves, it's been well worth it. But we want to hear from you guys as well. If you're getting the value, let us know. As well as if you've got some topics, you got ideas, there's a burning desire that you want more information around, shoot them over to Roger and myself. I know I've had a couple people reach out and say, hey, maybe on an episode, could you dive into this or dive into that? That's what Roger and I are looking for, so that we make sure we show up every single week for you guys, bringing you the gold bars in the area you need it most for your business. and for your online side. Anything you want to leave them with, Roger, before we start to sign off?
No, I think we're good. I think this was a lot of value these past couple episodes, wrapping up this particular series, and getting excited for what's next, our next series, right? So we're always going to include with the series, we're going to include kind of the trends. Everything that you're hearing here is what's happening now, what's working now. If things change, boom, we'll have another topic to talk about, right? So we'll always be in front of what's happening in the trends online.
Absolutely. So next week, we've got a fun little episode coming your way. I'm not going to give too much away. It's a fun little episode leading into Christmas. And then we're already planning the next episode, the final episode of 2020. You guys are not going to want to miss that one if you've been tuning in every single week, whether you're listening live or you're tuning in after the replays go out. We're going to be breaking down that MAV property example that we used. That was just scratching the surface. We're going to be putting together a pretty big kind of step-by-step process, game plan, case study, kind of pull back the onion, give you the nuts and the bolts of what went in to getting them to the top rankings that they're at. And I'm curious to see where they're going to be in 2 weeks from now. Literally, they jumped from 5 to 2 overnight, just on that one keyword. So we'll see where they're going over the next couple of weeks. We'll see what kind of conversions are happening, but we're going to be breaking that down. So that'll definitely be a great episode to check out. And finally, before we say goodbye, if you guys are sitting there going, this is all great, but I really don't want to deal with all the work, we got your back. We're here for you. Reach out, head over to topresultsconsulting.com. You can click the little book a call button, jump on a calendar, find a time that works best for you. We'll get on a call. We'll break down, see what you're doing in business, see where you need the help, see how we can jump in and kind of help get on your team and be right alongside you in the trench and help get this stuff rolling. With that being said, Roger, it was fun. It's always fun on these episodes. I know we can go forever in a day.
Absolutely.
Maybe one of these days we'll have to do like a big marathon where we just go for a couple hours on it and really kind of lay out some value. But with that being said, have a good rest of your day. I know your day's getting started. I'm about to kind of end my day. Not really. I'm going home, but one of our clients is actually swinging by lives in the area, coming by to a good friend of mine. We're going to talk about some future things that we've got going on with my event, the Unleash Your Inner Lion event. But then she's also going to needle up Deanna for a little bit. She's an acupuncturist. And while she's working and doing that, we're going to break down her business and kind of have some fun, figure out what she needs to really get this kind of 2021 going to the next level. So we're in the team. Dr. Andrea, there's going to be some stuff coming.
Awesome. We're ready. We're ready for it. You know that. We're ready.
On her side. But till next week, guys, you guys have a wonderful week, wonderful next few days leading into the Christmas holidays. We will be with you next Wednesday, U.S. time. I know it's confusing with Roger being so far ahead of us over in the Pacific. He's kind of our beacon of light and hope. Tell us that the next day is still coming. The world hasn't ended. But we will be with you guys next week leading in for Christmas. Figure out if Roger's going to be able to do it. It's his Christmas Eve. It may just be a solo show with Sean. We'll see. But as always, until next time, here's to your success.